Hey, talk about a kid in a candy store. Holy cow. Look at all that green. Well, maybe one like this will be next. So today we're going to go on a little mini tour of James River Equipment in Salisbury, North Carolina. And I'm going to go over the details and why I traded in my tractor.
These are the Honor Edition 835Ms.
Is there such thing as a 4 Series diecast?
I can look. So we built this store a little bit larger than a typical ag store. One, so we could drive combines with heads on in through the hangar door.
Okay.
And then service anything from lawnmower all the way up to combine.
Right.
But we also have a 15-ton crane in the back half of the shop with more reinforced concrete, so we can work on dozers and things of that nature.
So basically you're set up to where you can pretty much work on the push mower all the way up to a dozer.
Yeah. So this is a plus to working in a newer store, is you have a really big shop, so your mechanics aren't having to work outside much. You can bring just about anything inside. At our old location, any combine work happened on the gravel yard because you just couldn't get them in the building.
Well, when you say a big shop, this is a big shop. Holy cow. Whoa, look at this thing. Do you think a high school coach would have a problem if I brought that on a football field?
Wouldn't have much of a football field.
Oh my goodness, holy cow, what a tractor. The tires are taller than I am. 6155R. So, that's a 6 Series tractor, 155 horsepower, correct?
Yep.
That thing's got a lot of meat right there. Yeah, they really wouldn't let me on the field with that. I'm going to tell you that now. No, never mind. I want this for the football field. That's a good 10, 20, 30, 40. Is that an 80-foot wide spray boom? How many?
I want to say 80, but I'll have to look.
Holy cow. This is just one side of the machine. One boom right there that folds out. And then you can see the second boom right here that folds out again. I guarantee you that's a 70 to 80 foot wide spray boom. That's crazy. I could like make 2 passes on a football field and be done. Maybe one pass, yeah. Yeah, so the service trucks, they can pretty much go do anything you can do in the shop to a certain extent, sure. Or at least get you up back and running.
They might not split a tractor in the field, like for transmission work. They'll probably bring it back here for that.
Yeah.
But they can do most of that. They can change out some internals on combines and stuff with the cranes. That's our newest service truck over there.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Kenworth, and it has air ride suspension and all sorts of stuff.
Oh wow!
Facilitate repairs in the field.
Yeah, I think that's really good when you're looking for a particular dealer, is to make sure they can service you in the field. That's a big deal. If I have a breakdown and need something fixed that I can't particularly fix, but I can holler at you guys and you can send a truck out there in a couple of hours, get me back and up and going, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge for customers on the ag side, and anywhere where you're really making money with your equipment. You can't afford downtime.
Oh yeah, time is money. Time is money.
And on the construction side, it's even more so that way.
Absolutely.
This is our upper parts. So this is a lot of your smaller parts, your top 500 items that go across the counter are going to be up here. So bulk oil, toys right now because it's Christmas time.
Toys for Christmas, yeah.
They haven't moved all that back to the lower warehouses yet, but so they keep everything that moves fast up here, and then bulk items and slower moving items are in the lower warehouse. Both your top mid belts.
Wall of belts right there.
Lawnmower all the way down the combine.
Wow. Oh yeah, this is where I would like to hang out, because I would have a lot of fun back here putting things together. Look at that. Oh yeah.
So So you've got just a bunch of stuff and then all your different dies.
Yeah, there's your die, there's the press machine.
And they've got all the swabs and stuff to blow through the hose and clean the hose out after they build it, and so you don't get any intrusion or anything like that.
That's pretty sweet. So the reason I wanted to trade my tractor in is a few reasons. They made some upgrades to the 4075 that the 4066 does not have. So I want to go over those upgrades with you right quick in detail.
So one of the first features that you're going to notice coming from the front of the tractor is going to be LED headlights. So John Deere started putting that in all the compacts this past year, rolling in through different series first. I think one series was the first one to come out with them. And it makes a huge difference. It goes from basically an adequate amount of light to an overkill amount of light. The next thing you'll notice moving backward on the tractor is going to be the heavy-duty front axle. So this is one of the more substantial changes that Deere made on the 4075. So this big heavy-duty front axle, it's got a slightly different angle on the final drives of it, so it can hold more weight, and it's also got gusseting across the bottom. Real big and beefy compared to the old 4066 and 4052 and 4044 axles that were under those.
It's actually quite a bit different, especially visually. When you're looking at it, it's a major difference in the front axle.
Yeah, it does add a little bit of weight to the tractor, but it adds a whole lot more capability when it comes to weight. You do gain a little bit on the 3-point lift capacity because you have more weight up front, so it's kind of that balance rear to front. So you get about 209 more pounds there. The axle is really designed for snow applications where you're running snow blowers and snow pushers off the front, and you need just a more rugged axle to handle that amount of stress. But what you do in moving as much material as you do, having a heavy-duty axle is really going to help. So one thing that you will give up a tiny amount on is turn radius. So this new HD axle has different angles on the front and a little bit different turn radius. You're not giving up a ton, though. You go from 3 meters turning without brakes to 3.2 meters turning without brakes. So slightly bigger turn radius, but when I say slight, we're talking about 0.2. Not a huge number.
I can handle that. Not a big deal.
For what you're gaining on the capacity side and the durability of that HD axle, you can give up 0.2. So looking at the engine on the 4066R, you have a turbo charged engine with an intercooler. So to make the extra horsepower, since it is the same motor, there's a little bit different tuning in there, and also a much larger front intercooler and a larger air intake. So looking at the 4066, you've got the standard setup that's been there for quite some time. And then when you move over to the 4075R, you'll notice a thicker, taller intercooler and a much larger intake on the 4075R, which is where you get that extra power by being able to breathe a little bit better and cool a little bit better. You can create the power that you're needing. All right, so in line with that new motor putting out 75 horsepower, it's 74.9, I think. But so you get about 9.6 more horsepower from the 66 to the 75. You get 8.1 more PTO horsepower. So for all your mechanically driven PTO implements, they'll run that more efficiently because they got more power. Like we talked about, you get 209 more pounds of capacity out of the rear, given the way the tractor's configured and the hydraulics on it. Then you get 151 pounds of torque, which is a 19.9 pound boost up from the 66 to the 75. And your fuel capacity actually increases a little bit. It goes to 14.7 over 13.8.
Huh,
so
that's nice.
Almost a gallon more capacity.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
On the fuel. Well, it's going to use a little bit more fuel, making more power, but a lot of that's in how you run the tractor. You know, if you use auto match and stuff like that, it'll
Brother, I'm wide open.
reduce it. All right, moving rearward on the tractor. So we get to the back of the tractor here. We've done some custom stuff for you this time, Pete, as far as hydraulics goes, so it'll look a little bit different than what your typical 4075 does, as we've got you some things set up for your sand application. But if you focus in real close here on the hydraulics, there is electronics in there also. So the older system was mechanical hydraulics. You know, your fourth and fifth are all lever. Your up and down function, your ride height, your rock shaft control is all manual. Now it's an electric over hydraulic third hitch, so you do see an electronic module in there that's going to allow all that to function.
And to be completely honest with you, that's probably other than the horsepower, who doesn't like bigger's better, but the main driving force behind me making the trade was to get that electronic 3-point. I think it's going to be a very big game changer to when I go to fine detail grade work and sand work using the 3-point.
For sure. I mean, the electronic ability to dial in your rock shaft, how fast it's dropping, how quick it's picking up, the ability to get a minute change in where it's dropping to. But more importantly, on your older one, you had to throw it down or pick it up with a lever. On this one, you can reach over and just hit the down button, and it'll go down to where you have it set to.
Exactly.
You can hit the up button, and it'll pick up. So it's less time you're using that other hand when you could be using the loader or another function.
That's right.
So I think you'll really enjoy that. That's probably, aside from the HD front axle, the next biggest substantial change going to the 75 over the 66. So inside the cab, you'll notice that things look a little bit different. So as you sit down and you look over to the right, your hydro panel's kind of moved from center of the console all the way back to the post on the cab. That's to make room for the electro over hydraulic hitch. So the little thumb switch on the side is up and down. Your dial front to back with all the different adjustments, and there's infinitely more of them than what there was in the other tractor, allows you to click in where you want it to drop to, and then when you hit the down button, it'll drop to that down. When you hit the up button, it'll go all the way to the top. The other button there you see, the kind of tan dial, is your rock shaft control. So you push down on it and then roll to increase or decrease the amount of speed that your implement drops and raises with. Fourth SCV and fifth SCV, they're kind of tucked in. They've got a little bit more curve to them. There's a flat panel there that wasn't there before. That's just kind of covering the electronic part of what's going on with the electric over hydraulics, and just a little bit different look to the dash. And then you've got your standard loader valve control with third front function on there also. You've essentially kept every function you had and then added in a really tailored way to be precise with your grading.
And you guys also added in an extra toggle switch for my top dresser, which was very convenient. Now I can make it plug and play, and it's going to save me tons of time.
Hitch assist on your old tractor, you had a button on the side for forward and reverse, and you could do that when you were, initiated the button in the cab and got out, and you could run the tractor forward and backwards.
Right.
And the up and down was in the center, right above your 3-point hookup and your 4-point
on the rear of the tractor. They were separated.
Yeah. Now they're all on one pad. So you can stand off to the side and control up and down, back and forth without having to reach in and do your up and down and get on next to the tire and everything.
Which is more convenient, but it's also safer because you don't have to stand between the tractor and the rear implement.
For sure.
I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today with Matt and the folks over at James River Equipment in Salisbury, North Carolina. Had a blast hanging out with him, going over all this stuff on the new tractor, and I'm stoked to get to try out some of these new features on it. Since I went and picked this up, I've actually used the tractor one time so far. There at the shop, we had a major cleanup day, and before we put everything back in place, I took my 8-foot hydraulic box blade and redid the parking lot at the shop, and I can really feel the difference in that extra horsepower. So I'm super excited to get this thing out in the field and really put it through the paces. Now, you've already watched the video of me crying like a baby, telling you about some of the problems I'm going through right now and some of the issues. But we've kind of got a little bit of a game plan in place, and here pretty soon I'll make another video and explain some of the changes we're going to be making, just to make things better as a whole. So here's a little quick announcement on that is I've got a new YouTube channel, and that's GCI Turf Pro. I will link it up in the description below. You can go subscribe to it and check it out. I've only got a few videos on there. There are actually some older videos that I already posted on my current channel, but I am going to be doing more equipment style videos over on that channel. I may even get the guys involved and go do some field work with the guys and let you see how we do some of our day-to-day operations. So that one won't be quite as intense as my current channel, but it's going to be there specifically for equipment and more business-related, pro-related style content. So, as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I know that there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now with your time, and your time is valuable, and I respect that. But for whatever reason, you spend it watching a guy trade in a tractor. I really appreciate that a whole lot. I really do. Check you later.